Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving deep into the world of ancient Egypt. But we aren't just looking at any run-of-the-mill deity. No, we are exploring the absolutely most fascinating, complex, and, honestly, entirely contradictory multitasker of the ancient world. A goddess who wasn't just one thing, but arguably the whole shebang. I'm talking, of course, about Hathor.
So think about this for just a second. How could one single deity possibly embody the ultimate, polarized extremes of life, death, love, and utter terrifying destruction? Usually mythological pantheons split these jobs up, right? You got a god of war over here, a goddess of love over there, maybe a completely different deity running the underworld. But Hathor literally did it all. She held the entire human experience, from its softest, most nurturing moments to its absolute bloodiest, right in the palm of her hand.
To make sense of this incredible figure, here's our roadmap. We're going to start with her origins as the cow goddess, then look at the vengeful Eye of Ra, her role as the mistress of joy and love, the ruler of foreign lands, and finally, we'll wrap up with her as a guide to the afterlife. Now look at the absolute whiplash between her dual titles. On one hand, she is the mistress of music, dance, and joy, a deeply nurturing, beautiful, just ecstatic presence. But then, right next to that, she is the vengeful Eye of Ra, a terrifying slaughterer. The extreme narrative tension between these two identities is exactly what makes Hathor so captivating. To the Egyptians, she wasn't a contradiction at all. She was just a complete, unfiltered picture of passion. All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, Origins of the Cow Goddess, the Nurturing Mother. So Hathor rapidly rose to prominence way back during the Old Kingdom as a cosmic sky and solar deity. Her very name, HWTHRW, literally translated to House of Horus, or basically, my house is the sky. And while she was most famously known as the celestial cow wearing a sun disk, which is this ultimate symbol of supreme motherhood and nourishment, she was for sure not just a woman with horns. Because the Old Kingdom court used Hathor to basically absorb local goddesses, she took on a wildly surprising variety of physical forms. I mean, she could manifest as a ferocious lioness, a protective rearing cobra, or even a life-giving sycamore tree. She started as a localized deity and just blew up into a cosmic powerhouse. Which brings us to our second section, the vengeful Eye of Ra, the Destroyer. Okay, we have to completely subvert that comfortable mother image right now. Let's step through one of the most thrilling stories from the New Kingdom, the destruction of mankind myth. It plays out almost like an action movie. On day one, the sun god Ra realizes humans are plotting a rebellion against him. To protect his throne, he deploys his absolute ultimate weapon, his feminine counterpart, his eye, which is Hathor. By day two, she transforms into the bloodthirsty lioness Sekhmet, and she begins just absolutely massacring humanity. Her rage is so immense that Ra actually regrets his decision, realizing she's going to wipe out all of mankind. So on day three, Ra comes up with this incredibly clever, almost unbelievable trick. He orders massive amounts of beer to be brewed, dyes it red so it looks exactly like human blood, and pours it all over the land. Then on day four, the rampaging goddess drinks the beer, totally thinking it's the blood of her enemies. She gets completely inebriated, her wildness is pacified, and she reverts back into the beautiful, benign Hathor. I mean, it's just wild to think a god literally saved humanity with a giant flood of red beer. And that pacification perfectly sets up our third section, Mistress of Joy and Love, the Creator. That trick with the red-dyed beer didn't just save humanity, you see. It synthesized her extremes. The pacified Hathor was transformed into the ultimate goddess of celebration, drunkenness, and unstoppable procreative power. And central to this whole vibe was the sistrum. This was a rattle-like musical instrument used constantly in Hathor's worship. During annual festivals, which actually coincided with the flooding of the Nile where the red sediment perfectly mirrored that mythic red beer, musicians would aggressively shake the sistrum. The noise wasn't just music. It was specifically meant to dispel her bad temper, appease that wild side we just talked about, and celebrate her joyful return. But it also carried deep erotic connotations, alluding to the creation of new life, which perfectly aligned with Hathor's role as a goddess of sexuality and fertility who quite literally helped produce the world itself. What's also really fascinating is how adaptable she was depending on where you actually lived in Egypt. In ancient times, temples often focused on a divine triad, so a father, a mother, and a child god. But Hathor's role shifted dramatically depending on her geographical cult center. At her main temple up in Dendera, she was partnered with Horus of Edfu, and their child was Ihi, whose name literally meant sistrum player.
But down in Komombo, she manifested as Tasanafret, partnered with a completely different form of Horus, bearing a child named Penebtoy. She was this universal divine mother, just effortlessly molding to the theological needs of local populations in a way that's frankly pretty mind-blowing. Moving right along to our fourth section, ruler of foreign lands, the exporter.
Hathor definitely didn't just stay within Egypt's borders. Because she was a sky goddess connected with the stars and therefore navigation, she crossed physical boundaries all the time. As the patron deity of foreign lands and lucrative imports, she held these awesome titles like Lady of Merfkat, which likely referred to turquoise, and Lady of Amethyst. When Egyptian miners traveled to the rugged Sinai Peninsula or deep into the eastern desert, or when traders sailed all the way down the Red Sea to the land of Punt looking for exotic incense and gold, they prayed to Hathor. She was their ultimate divine protector in hostile, unfamiliar territories.
And that brings us to our final section, Guide to the Afterlife, the Comforter.
So, we are bringing the narrative arc all the way from the chaos of life and creation to its absolute final destination. Just as Hathor crossed physical borders into foreign lands, she also passed through the ultimate boundary, the one between the living and the realm of the dead. Now we have a really crucial concept here, Imentet. The Egyptian necropolises were largely built on the west bank of the Nile, and Imentet was literally the personification of the West. Hathor frequently manifested as Imentet. But in this role, she wasn't a terrifying destroyer at all. She was a deeply comforting maternal tree goddess. Just imagine passing away and opening your eyes in the afterlife, only to be warmly welcomed by Hathor, offering you food and water from a sycamore tree, inviting you into a pleasant, fertile garden for all of eternity.
And this brilliantly illustrates just how much power she eventually wielded in the realm of the dead. For a really long time, ancient Egyptians prefixed the names of their deceased with Osiris to connect them directly with the male god of resurrection. But check out this combination, Osiris-Hathor. During the Third Intermediate Period, this fascinating historical shift happened. Deceased women actually began prefixing their names with Hathor instead of, or sometimes alongside, Osiris. They were relying entirely on her immense, regenerative, procreative power for their own eternal resurrection. She basically became a ruler of the afterlife in her own right, a real game changer. Before we wrap up this explainer, I want you to listen to this ancient love poem from the papyrus Chester Beatty I. It goes, I prayed to her and she heard my prayer, she destined my mistress for me, and she came of her own free will to see me. I absolutely love this because it takes this epic, cosmic, terrifying, world-ending deity and brings her right down to a totally relatable human level. Amidst all the intense mythology of sunbarks, rampaging lionesses, and managing the afterlife, everyday Egyptians just prayed to Hathor to help them find a little bit of romance. How relatable is that? So here is the crucial point, and I want to leave you with this provocative thought. If a single goddess could encompass the pure terror of destruction and the breathtaking beauty of creation, what does that reveal about how the ancient Egyptians viewed the true nature of life itself? Hathor shows us that, to the ancients, life wasn't just neatly boxed into good and bad. It was a singular, cyclical, wildly passionate experience, where the very thing that can destroy you is also the exact thing that gives you life. Her brilliant paradoxes make her, without a doubt, one of the most compelling figures in human history. I really hope this explainer has left you eager to go out and explore even more of the ancient world. Thanks so much for learning with me today.